Hi, everybody. I'm Matt Halls of The Happy Show and also of Comics Unlimited, located inside the Big E Superstore at 1540 Van Avenue in Evansville, Indiana. And I'm going to postpone a video again that I was going to make with which I was sharing different messages and items, that had to do with the Happy Show during the years of production that I did that from 2003 to what was it, 2009, 10, or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and postpone that video again for the moment, but I will eventually get to that for anybody who actually cares to watch it and may have been following me and possibly expecting that. I'm just pushing this off because I just thought I'd wanted to go ahead and do a different video for right now that is for anybody who lists on eBay. This is actually one of those videos where um, people are give tips or what have you, and I am the person in this instance that's giving a tip, a few tips here. The reason I mention this is because when I list on eBay myself, especially on the phone now, you can kind of get a template if you want from other people's listings when you use the phone. I'm using the phone more recently than I had been in the past just because it's easier, even though a lot of times I have in the past always used my desktop computer or laptop, but the browser through the computer there. But since I've used the phone, especially, this is something I was always aware of, but especially now that I'm using other people's templates rather than the template I already had stored for myself, especially when it was items that I don't normally carry. And so when he gives you this template, it's basically pre-filled information that you adjust then to suit and tailor towards whatever product or item that you're selling. Presumably it's a similar item, that's why you're using a template. And still about the template isn't really what I'm discussing. It's more actually the item title specifically. That's the main focus because I know there's a lot of things that people do that I'm thinking you don't need to do, and people don't even realize it. Now, in particular, with me, I sell comic books, but there would be toys or anything else that you could use. My first tip, get straight to the point now, is that you don't need punctuation as a rule. If there's a specific punctuation in a title that the title has, or whatever the item, if it's important, like you want to make sure people understood, like a dash mark, like if it's a model number and it's important that you're talking about a model number and you want to add that dash mark and that sort of thing, then it's fine. But I can tell you, especially with comic books, they usually have issue numbers, and a lot of people will put a numeral symbol before they put the numbers of that book. Like if it's Spider-Man #1, it'd be Spider-Man numeral symbol #1. I learned a long time ago, you don't need to put the numeral symbol in there. It's because the way that search engine works on eBay, basically, it ignores punctuation or any kind of special symbols for the most part. It pretty much just goes really by the text. I haven't seen this to be changed since I've noticed this in the past, and so I rarely ever use any special characters or punctuation that I know is just going to really be ignored anyway. If you're searching anybody, see when the person searches for, and I've tested this myself. 'Cause when I search, I don't use the numeral symbol even in my searches, so I can validate and tell you for a fact that if you look for Spider-Man #1 and you leave off that numeral symbol, you just put Spider-Man 1, you're still going to get the Spider-Man #1 in your results. It totally ignores those numeral symbols. So therefore, you're limited to, I don't remember how many characters. Oh no, I do. 80 characters. How can I forget? I list all the freaking time. You're limited to 80 characters. Okay, don't sacrifice important characters because or don't don't sacrifice important characters to put in unimportant characters. Numeral symbol, that's one more character that you might be able to use that would help people find your item. Getting rid of one character that you don't need, that's just taking up your space. The other examples, like periods. I've seen people use periods and dashes and quotations and stuff. And the reason I'm again reacting this way is because it's total waste. So if I put the Uncanny X-Men in whatever the story title is, I put that story title in quotations, even if you don't technically usually need a story title if you're doing an issue number, but for sake of argument, X-Men number 55, and quotation, The Dark Day or something. I'm familiar with X-Men 55, I can't remember the story title. It's moot point. But anyway, so and then you put like dash or yeah, Uncanny X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number symbol numeral symbol 55 dash a quotation mark The Dark Day quotation mark, and then in parentheses Colossus stars or something like that. Well, there's a numeral symbol you don't need, a dash you don't need, a quotation and another quotation mark at the beginning and end, and then there's a parentheses you don't need, and the beginning and ending or brackets or whatever. Any of that stuff you don't need. So you've just, let's see, what is that, 5-6 characters or something that you wasted that you could have used those for actual letters that make up a word that pertain to the book that could drive people to look at your item. I guess that's basically just, I'm trying to think if this would be one of those things where maybe after I make this video, I'll remember if there was any other points. I probably should write this down, maybe a bullet list. But really, I was just wanting to address this particular thing. But yeah, so some of that stuff, and if I usually feel like if I have space to spare, I'm still not going to do those quotation marks and all that nonsense. But if I got the space to spare, I might add some kind of little bit of hyperbole or something, to be honest, to get you the people to look, in a sense. Still, I don't like, I hesitate to use the word rare, because rare is a particular thing, unless it's truly rare or whatever. But, I put like, it's the cover artist or whatever, if I need to fill up the space with something else, if it's not a key issue. Because a lot of times, you want to use that, that title line is very important. That's going to be the stuff that generates most of your search results. I think, and people who know better can correct me if they want to, I think text in your description also is factored into searches. So you want to be as thorough as possible there as well. But I'm not necessarily certain. Now, in your descriptions, into the actual listing, in your descriptions, yeah, do punctuation. Anyway, please do punctuation in that case. Normally, I'm very much in favor of people putting the proper, especially proper punctuation on things in general, just in terms of writing in general, because a lot of times those punctuations exist in the normal situation and with grammar and writing and all that, to clarify things, to make things more understandable. And when people don't properly punctuate, it can create some issues. I'm not talking about typos, but genuinely just don't properly punctuate. But you can't think of the description, or not the description title. You can't think of the item title, the title for the listing. You can't think of that as if it's a book that you're writing or a message or whatever, where you have to do all this proper punctuation. Oh, no. Again, nix the punctuation unless it's vital to that the people understand what item they are looking for. Because, again, it's wasted space. And you need to maximize, because you're only allowed 80 characters, and that sounds like a lot, but it's not. Especially if you got something that has a long title to begin with, and then you still have other details you need to address to hopefully get people to find your item. You can't count on the description alone, because that title is going to be very important. That's going to be the first thing people see besides the first image that you choose. And choose your first image wisely. I've seen enough of times where people will be selling several items, in other words, a lot of things. A lot of a lot. And these people will, like with comic books, for instance, and I've seen it with the toys and such, they'll post, in comic books they'll usually post the first image. If it's several consecutive issues, they'll just post a picture of the one issue, and in their title, it makes it kind of clear that it's a lot, and presumably also in the listing it will make it clear. But you also got to remember, people are, when they search this stuff out, they're looking. You got to get them visually as soon as you can too. So that first image has to be your most important image in a sense. You want to use as many images as possible, and thank goodness eBay's raised that to 24 images, which is a pretty good amount, honestly. Twice as many as they used to do, and even though you do videos now. But that first image is the one you got to hit the customer with, because that's what they're first going to see. So you got to make sure whoever's glancing at that page, you got to think of it like you got to have a striking image, a representational, accurate image. You can't, but you got to have, but the first image of whatever you're selling has to be your best image almost. Really, it's got to be. And so when you're selling a lot, to get back to that, what's important is, don't just show one item in a lot. Show the lot. In that first image. If it's you can get, if you want to show things in clear detail and stuff, you have 24 or 23 other images, right? So you have 23 other images to do that with. But that first image, you just want to show them, look, it's a lot. It's all this. I got, this is 5 issues, or if it's 100 issues, if it's 100 issues, if you don't get back and take a really blown picture of all the covers, because that's gonna be impossible. Though I have done that. I've taken a picture of 100 covers. So yeah, on that image, it's gonna be a lot of little pictures, or a lot of little covers in one picture, but it still will point out to people like, wow, that's a lot. But even if it's like just 2, even, show both covers. If it's 100, like I said, try to get all 100 into the image. But if you can't show all, obviously, most people will want to show as much of the covers as they can, even if you just show as a stack. But get it clear when they first see it that it's more than one item. And don't just put one cover, like the main cover or the first cover for this lot. If it and then just go with that. It's like, no, that's, first off, that's lazy, but you also, people will skip by it, sometimes. Not everybody, but people will. They'll skip by it. They'll be like, if they're looking for lots, and they see that, I know they can search in categories, all those people put stuff in their own category all the time. Again, you want to hit them with what your thing is as best as possible, and the picture's got to represent that as much as the text. So yeah, that's one other recommendation right there for you. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. It'd be one of my shorter videos lately, because I wanted to get this in. It's still probably longer than it needed to be, because these are unscripted, and I don't want to ramble, but I do want to make the point clear on there. So if I have more eBay advice, I'll give it to you if I can think of it. If you want to ask me about any more eBay advice, feel free to post in the comments, and I'll address it in a future video. But I just thought this one was important to bring up, because it's one I noticed a lot. Again, whenever I do the templates, I'm going to refashion anyway the text to more accurately reflect my item, even for selling the same item, the person's who I base my text off of. But I noticed doing that, I was like, oh my God, they're wasting all this space when they don't need to. So if this helps you, if you sell on eBay, take that to heart, and I hope it helps you get more of an understanding and sell your stuff. Anyway, that's it. So I'll see you next vlog, video, whatever. Yay! Come to see you at the flea market.